Welcome back and to the first installment in this two-part season finale. Now, if you saw the short video we released midweek, you know Dusty has some fancy new graphics, and after those went on, we finished up a few other little projects. So while I recaulked all the windows, Tim installed some new off-road lights, with the help of Jesse, of course. And then we thought, what better way to welcome these new graphics to the truck than hit some dirt? So that's exactly what we did. I'm Kelsey, that's Tim, and this is our rolling home Dusty. We hit the road full-time a few years ago to follow our dreams of driving around the world, and we headed south.
We did it!
COVID brought us back to the States, but there is plenty of adventure to be had here while we wait out the pandemic. So come along and enjoy this crazy ride we call life.
So, this is the kind of stuff we absolutely love. We are camped, well, we just got here. We haven't camped yet, but we're on top of this random hillside that took, I don't know, a few hours of low range and putting along to get to. And then at this point, we saw this windmill, an old Aero motor, but it says Texas, which I think Aero motors were originally out of Chicago, so it's probably a later generation, probably from the 60s. I don't know. Somebody else can probably tell us when this is from. But sometime in the 50s or 60s is what we're guessing. We don't really know. They set up this windmill on top of this hill that we're on right now. If you follow it, there's a piece of wire that goes down to this wheel beneath here. And then that wheel goes to a post with a wheel on it over here, to another post with a wheel on it there, to another one over the hill, to another one, and then all the way to the bottom of the hill where there's a feed tank, stock tank, for cattle. And so there's no wind down in this canyon. It's a very deep canyon here, but there's water. And so presented with the problem, which now I'm sure looks like it's solved by solar. The problem at the time though was, how do you pump water at the bottom of a canyon when the only place that there's wind is up at the top of that hill nearby the canyon? So I just love it. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wheels, and then a windmill at the top, and all that goes down to what is the base part of a windmill down there, but without the windmill part, without the fan. Let's call it a fan. I don't know what I'm talking about. But without the fan down at the bottom, and you had this whole wire rigged up just to pull on the pumping mechanism of the windmill down there that's missing its fan and its directional fin on the back. And all that is so you can pump water from a good spot here in the desert where there is water. That feed tank down there, or stock tank, is full completely to the brim. We haven't done that trail yet. There is a little 4x4 trail that goes to it, but we might have to check it out just to see the other end of it. But I'll show you guys what we can show from up here in case we don't go down there. I just love that. I love that sort of like ranching, western, middle of nowhere ingenuity where you just have to get something done. Of course now, using solar, there's sun on the mountain, but there's also sun in the valley. No need for all this elaborateness, and the wire was cut right up here near the top. Everything still is in perfect working condition, I bet, if you were to rehook it all up. But I just love that all day and all night, if there's any breeze, this thing was pumping water from the bottom of this canyon. So check it out. Hello.
Good morning.
We're going on a little hike from camp. We're out here in the Tortalitas. And yesterday we decided to just kind of explore into the middle of the Tortalitas, camp for the night. And now we're doing a little hike. And then we'll continue exploring and maybe sort of lag or drag our feet getting back into town to do practical stuff to prepare to leave the country.
That part's not going to be fun to walk back down.
No. So we drove over this sort of as the sun was setting. And it's not horrible, but may not look like much, but this is definitely one of these rock step-ups here that lightweight.
Part of this one is that you come up over this hill so you can't see.
Yeah.
What you're about to go down.
And I just tagged our shock mount on that on the way up. So the elaborate pulley system that comes down the hill from where we're camped, obviously it's not hooked up anymore, but it would have pumped this lower, I don't know, would you call it a derrick? It's not an oil derrick, but it's, what do you think?
Stock tank?
Yeah, what would you call the trestle thing that's built up? The windmill, lower part of a windmill?
Oh yeah, I don't know, the pump.
Yeah, the pump part. The pump part. It isn't hooked up at all, so they're not using this at all to pump water into that tank, but it's full. And you can see the black plastic coming from somewhere up this canyon. So, oh, you know that little spring we saw? Mm-hmm. They must just somehow get water directly into the piping and it fills it. And then there's a float in there. The float goes up into the windmill base, and then there's a rock for a weight, a counterweight. And then there's a big red and yellow arrow. And I'm assuming that then there's a helicopter flying around here right now. Whether it's helicopter or via truck, you could see from a great distance the level of this water tank without having to look into it or be high enough to see down into it. So I guess that's what they do now. I'm guessing there's some sort of electric pump though on that black plastic, because if it worked to just tap into a stream, you'd think they wouldn't have gone through all that trouble however many years ago, decades ago, to make it work.
Of course, it never looks as steep on camera, but believe me, it's steep. Because even walking up it feels a little sketchy. But Dusty and Tim always make it look easy. Just retrieving the other camera. Hopefully, this camera at least shows how steep it is. And hopefully, I don't fall and land on either of the cameras. How is it?
Not bad. I mean,
it's steep.
He makes it so easy, but yeah, as soon as your nose pitches up on those other ones, you're just relying on the grip you get from being on solid rock.
Yeah.
And then knowing that you're gonna have a couple tires get light, so the lockers were kind of nice. We didn't need them, I'm sure, but it was nice to know that right at that tippy point, you're not gonna hear one of the tires start losing traction and spinning wildly, and then lose forward progress with the manual. Have to grab the clutch, all that. So with the lockers, it was nice just to kind of know that I could drag the brake a little and keep us at a slow speed, and then keep the engine alive with my right foot. and just continue that, you know, half-mile-an-hour progress. But it's so staggeringly good.
All right. We sometimes do little behind-the-scenes updates for our patrons, and this is one we made during this drive to share some big news with our supporters in real time.
Hello, patrons.
This is just for you guys.
Yes.
Super secret.
Super
really.
secret, kind of not really.
But
we, you know, I'll give you a quick summary and make you sit through that before we tell you where we're going. So, first was Australia, right?
yes, when we left South America, we were thinking Australia.
We were thinking, you know, we've been living out of the truck, and it would be so fun to go visit all the people we've met.
Yep.
We happened to meet so many people from Australia. We met people from Paraguay moving to Australia, so it was like, that seems logical. And then the world closed up, and
we thought, oh, that'll be it can't be that long.
Yeah, naively. I think it's funny to even say it now. It sounds dumb, but I think if we all think back, a lot of people thought this, but I know I did.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's probably gonna be like, it could be like 3 or 4 months. Whoa.
Yeah.
You know, and here you are years later, right?
Yeah, like 2 years later.
Crazy. But, you know, so we were still thinking Australia, still trying to plan, you know, watching the updates almost weekly on what was happening there. And we thought maybe there was a way we could jump through enough hoops to enter.
Yep.
Like, what if we did a month quarantine? I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, if it's what we got to do to get there safely.
Right, because we knew we weren't the normal type of traveler that maybe, you know, you're going to spend 2 weeks in a country. We're like, well, it's fine. We'll quarantine for a month if that's what you need us to do, because we want to be there for a year.
Yep. So that didn't happen, obviously.
No.
And they're still not open, although they could be closed soon.
Yeah.
But in all that time, you know, you research stuff, you're watching videos, you're reading books, listening to books. And we then were absolutely obsessed with Africa.
Yes.
And that's a long story, but after trying to get an agent just to reply to us, I mean, all the agents we previously used.
And you mean shipping agents?
Shipping agents, sorry, yeah.
Quotes and stuff.
You know, some had serious medical situations, and so were no longer working. Others just would not reply. Eventually, one replied with a price of well over $7,000 to go from, I think it was New York or something.
Yeah, somewhere on the
East Coast to Namibia, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's a lot.
That's a big portion of our travel budget going towards just getting there, and then potentially getting back or somewhere else.
And as we heard that quote, which was a lot, it was when Omicron was being talked about, which, you know, isn't really any worse, it sounds like, now we know, in Africa, but it was discovered there or identified there.
Yeah.
And so a lot of countries, including the US, shut down travel, I think, for a short time. So we went, uh-oh, maybe we shouldn't be heading there if we could get stuck there.
Yeah.
And not able to, like, go very far. We'd just be stuck down there. So right about that time, actually a patron reached out and said, hey, I'm shipping my truck over to Europe. Want to share the container? And we said, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Actually,
like,
yes.
Because if we can get to Europe, we could go east. And of course now the Ukraine and Kazakhstan.
Basically wherever we pick decides to melt
That's how you ruin countries, actually. You just let us choose to travel there. And so it is very sad what's happening there, though. But even if those aren't doing too well, we could still go to Turkey, to Croatia, to Romania, to Poland, to Greece, Italy, Spain. You know, so many neat places to explore. And of course, like, the heart of Europe and the bigger cities within Spain, Italy, France, England, all that would be tough in a truck. But we'd still be over there. And it would be fun to travel and explore. And so there's all that potential. If things open up, we could go to Mongolia, which has always been a huge, huge dream for both of us. Kelsey would lose her mind with the horse culture there.
I'm very excited about the horse culture.
You know, we'd have to cross Russia to get there, or China, and so that's a possibility. Or if Africa were open and things were looking good, you can go south.
Yep.
So we're thinking Europe would be a great place to get ourselves to. So we are heading to Germany. So basically, Dusty
is going back to his home.
He's going home, kinda. I mean, his original home obviously was Japan, but he was so young when he left, he doesn't remember Japan. He always says that he thinks of Germany. As a German. He identifies as a German, and that's where he really spent most of his time.
Yeah.
So we're taking him to his adopted home of Germany, and where half of them actually came from anyways.
Yeah.
More than half. So
that's our big announcement. That's where we're first headed.
Yep. And
the plan right now is to put Dusty on or in a shipping container like the first week of February. Yep. So it's coming up in just a little under a month now, so it's coming quick.
And so we've done everything I can think of to do to Dusty to make him reliable. Timing belt, water pump, radiator hoses. I bought all that. We're going to do that in Germany because there's a couple parts that the Germans use that are different than what I can get here, and so might as well use the good stuff there.
Yeah.
And so that's something we're literally waiting on. Everything I want to do, though, besides that, we've done. And now we're doing stuff that's more
we don't need to,
on the
but
like
it's
list.
Nice to
like
do.
We pulled the headlights off and cleaned them out with vinegar, and little stuff where we're like, hey, if I owned the truck and was in my normal office job, and we got to the point we're currently at with maintenance, which is really far along, I would now start picking off this type of stuff on the weekends. So we're doing it.
So it feels really good to be where we're at. Like most of, hopefully, the big projects are behind us as far as Dusty is concerned, and we have plans to continue traveling.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, that's really exciting because we've worked really hard for the last 2 years now.
Yeah.
And we felt sort of stationary, which is hard when you're living in a truck that you want to go travel with. So we're super excited to keep moving.
Yeah, and we don't talk about it a lot because I think it's really hard to articulate while watching us explore in a beautiful area like this, how tough it's been, or to sound like it's, to complain sounds wrong to us, so we don't often do it, even to each other, let alone to the camera. But it's been a really tough 2 years because we worked so hard, but making very low relative income compared to what we think we could if we took back on our old house or apartment, office jobs, and committed to them that we're not going to leave anytime soon because they would want that commitment. And so it was tough being home and watching everyone else save and do whatever they want to do with their normal lives, and our benefit to our life is we sacrifice that income and we eat a lot of soup and top ramen, but then to be around your friends, family, and the rest of the world that doesn't do that has been a tough one for us, and we're not getting the benefit of the international travel, which is why we're doing that. Right,
and all of the sacrifices that we are making, we're not getting kind of the payback from that, I guess, is what for us is traveling.
We will in the end, but it has been a
tough 2 years.
It felt like, what are we doing?
Wow, that view's awesome.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful. We'll show you guys that view in just a second. But yeah, it's been tough. You start to wonder why you're doing it.
Are we making the right choices? All of those sorts of things.
Yeah, and so we struggled a little bit, and then now it feels like it's real again. Yeah. There's a plan. We're actually leaving, and we know from the aforementioned Australia, Africa, anything can happen.
Go wrong,
We'll update you guys. We're so understanding that things can go wrong that it goes without saying that things can change. Yeah. But right now it feels real, and it feels like it's happening, and we're finally getting excited again. Yeah. To sort of get the payoff for all the work we've been doing, and we cannot wait. Yeah.
So thank you for coming along on our adventure, and we're excited to move on to the next leg of our big adventure.
Yeah, I can't wait. Love you.
Love you.
Thank you so much for coming along. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later.
Well, guys, that's it for part 1 of our season 1 finale. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out part 2 as we say goodbye to Arizona for a while. Thank you all for coming along for the adventure, and of course, an extra special thanks to all our patrons and YouTube members. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.